Previously on level 20 of Lemmings. Well, it turns out that there's a much better way to beat this level. Thank you to Not Invented here from the Something Awful forums for suggesting me this idea. As you're digging underneath the blocker just before he gets free, assign a climber to one of the lemmings that is either walking away or walking on the blocker, and yeah, look at that! Now we're having a perfectly delayed lemming, and he's not gonna have any kind of hindrance in order to dig the ramp. That will allow us to free the other lemming, and yeah, here we go, we have a perfectly manageable level now, so talk about that. That is pretty much the discovery of the century, because somehow it never occurred to me that I could do that. So yeah, enough going back under the past, it's time to go in the future. So, welcome back to Lemmings. It's now time to tackle 5 more levels of the Mayhem difficulty. This is a redo of level 12 from Tricky, which was called Bitter Lemming. And boy, are you gonna feel bitter whenever you see the solution to this one. In the past, we just assigned one floater and we built a spiral staircase in order to make it so that the lemmings will no longer splat, but we don't have enough builders in order to do that, so yeah, the solution here, yeah, make all 50 of your lemmings floaters, because you have to save everyone, by the way, and there's no other ways to do that, so yeah, you just gotta keep your cursor all the way here, and click, 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 and yeah, whatever, you get the idea. Also, why am I not fast-forwarding through this part, you might ask? Well, because that's just good game design. I mean, there's literally no other part in the level that require your lemming to be floaters, so it's not even as if it's trying to hint you into doing something different. No, it's just here in order to make you waste your time. So, all in all, I'm really not fond of this level. So, the solution for this level is pretty simple. We have very limited builders, but yeah, the solution doesn't remain all that difficult, to be honest. We just send one Trailblazer lemming ahead as a climber, you dig to this platform over here. Whenever you build, our lemming is going to hit his head on the ceiling, we'll turn back the other direction, so we'll make another ramp that will lead to the place that we have to go, and finally we can build one final ramp that will lead to the exit. So, all in all, the only tricky part of this level is that, as you've noticed, you only have one basher. So, yeah, you have to click in the random mess of lemming, which is here, and hope that you'll get one of the lemmings that go toward the right. Either that, or you use a version of the game that allows you to assign skills based on the directions of the lemming, like the Windows 95 version, or any other port that you want to use, like Neolemmix, Super Lemini, Lemini, and so on. Also, this level is really kind because they give you an additional builder that has no purpose whatsoever. Even though you have 4 builders, you only need 3 in order to finish this level. So, all in all, a kind of lackluster level. Oh yeah, that's right, we still haven't done any cross-promotional levels into this difficulty, so here it is, a BeastII of a level. Yeah, in the fun difficulty, the level that we had to play was a beast of a level, and we were referencing the game Shadow of the Beast. Well, now it's time to look at the sequel, Shadow of the Beast 2. As with the first game, it was also developed by Reflection Interactive. It was a little bit more developed gameplay-wise, but it still was kind of a rough game around the edges, and it was also notably known for being extremely difficult. If you were able to beat this game, you pretty much were a gaming legend, because this is the kind of game that, even with the inbuilt cheat code that gave you more health, people still struggle to beat this level because it's really unforgiving as all hell, and it's also kind of obtuse at the same time. At least there's absolutely nothing obtuse with this one level. You just need some occasional fancy clicking or fancy quick switching of skills in order to make it so that you'll be able to bash and then quickly switch to the proper tool. And finally you have to bash through this thing, which is pretty damn weird. I have no clue what it is, and it can really throw you off for a loop. Honestly, if you're going through it, you might as well almost just use miners, because it's far more reliable, because, yeah, I have only 2 bashers left for the rest of this level, and there's at least 3 or 4 obstacles in the lot that I probably could bash through, so I'm probably just going to use builders in order to make it through the rest of this level. Honestly, yeah, what the hell is this thing? Really, I wanna know, because it honestly doesn't look like a thing that exists in the world, and I kinda want to know what it is, but none of my questions are finding answers right now, but yeah. This thing is probably the most unpredictable part of the level. You probably could end up building over it in order to save trouble, and it probably should have been the thing that I did, but yeah, I was too impatient. So, alright, let's hope that the basher will go all the way through, but even then I think I'm going to... Okay, here we go, it went all the way through, but it could have also stopped just as I was getting to hit the slanted rock. So this will have worked regardless. Okay, here we go. Use all of our bashers, but we made it. Yeah, honestly, difficulty-wise, I don't think it's as hard as What an Awesome level, but it has way less skill, so it definitely puts a little bit more pressure on you, but even for Mayhem standards, this is kind of an easy level. Honestly, this update is pretty much gonna be like the calm before the storm, because honestly, I'm not really sure that there's going to be that many hard levels for this update. We're just gonna have, like, slightly hard challenges that are going to tide us over until we get to the end of the game, because the last 5 levels of the game are going to give you a run for your money. With that said, here's a level that looks pretty damn intimidating. I mean, whenever you see a 9-minute time limit, that's never a good sign, so let's see what this is all about. Yep. It's all about going up, because we have to land on this one platform here, and in order to land on this platform, we're gonna have to dig all the way up there in order to land here. And yeah, look also at this nifty little pole that we have over here. Definitely unlike anything we've seen so far in the game. So the first phase of this level is to make our way to the wall which is on the left. And we're gonna have to go really, really high. Now, you're probably gonna want to use a blocker over here, even though it's gonna complicate things a little bit, but it's only going to complicate things on the short term, as opposed to just building and hoping that things are going to work out all fine. You probably could just end up using like one builder and then block at the end of it, but you're going to lose something like 10 lemmings or so because of the high release rate, so let's just go hog wild and save as many lives as we can. Another way that you probably could use here, well, you can't really bash or mine the little incline that is on the right at the starting point, because you're so going to dig a hole into this, which will lead all of your lemmings to die. But if you were to use a miner in the opposite direction, your upward swing probably will clear the little slope that is here, and your lemmings will go all the way up, and then they will turn back, because when they hit the ceiling, they just turn back, and then you build up here, you use a blocker, and you just go on with the rest of the procedure. So the biggest danger whenever you build all the way up here is to start your ramp too early, because you can end up just hitting the ceiling of the level, and that will put an end to your builder, and most likely your chances at beating this level. But here, we're pretty much as high as we can possibly be, so there's absolutely nothing that can go wrong. And don't forget to make him a floater, because that'll be necessary for the landing part. So yeah, this is why you have 9 minutes for this one level, because digging through this one wall is really, really long. As in, it takes something like almost an entire minute and a half. This is a level that must have been really fun to play whenever you were on the Amiga, the PC, or any other version of the game that does not have a fast-forward feature. And imagine, after all of that, you probably could still fail the level too, so that means you'd have to do all of this all over again. Yeah, right now we're just building a ramp in order to welcome everybody, in order for people to not die, because this is way too much of an abrupt fall. And then we can either build up here, or we can bash. I guess I'm just gonna build because I'm too lazy to switch skills, so now it's time for the touchy part, but thankfully my blocker was placed in such a way that it's going to be easy to get my lemmings out of here successfully. With that said, turn around, Lemming, because you're clearly not going the right... Ah, I messed up my builder over here. Oh well, Yep, that pole was suspicious, alright. So, okay, let's bring everybody and hope that I can somehow patch something up together well enough so that I'll be able to save this situation. Well, there are some ways that I could do it, but let's just try to build through and hope that it works. After all, I only have to save 80 Lemmings, so I still have some margin of error in order to make this level work the advertised way. Yeah, in fact, what I should have done is just use bashers, but I didn't really think about it too well. Whoops, builder failed! Oh, no, it totally did not work. Oh my goodness. If only I decided to not slack off with this last Lemming. Yeah, I'm one Lemming short. Oh my god. That was a pretty unfortunate turn of event, but yeah, this time we're just going to restart the level with the help of instant replay, and we're just going to bash through the orb instead of just building through this electrical death trap. This is probably the sneakiest trick that this part of the game is going to pull off on you, which is kind of telling because honestly, this is definitely not the biggest dick move that we've seen. Also notice that there's another pole here. I think you can see part of the pole downwards, but it's like the part that you can see is so tiny that honestly there's almost no way of telling that the trap works this way. But yeah, all the way down here there's no electricity which is going to catch you here. And here we go, that's it for this pretty exhaustive level. Yeah, short of taking you a lot of time, yeah, that's about it for this one level. It's not that hard to be honest. Alright, last time we had to lock up our Lemmings, now it's time to let them on the loose. It's all or nothing. You have 3 bashers and hope that whenever you bash, you'll go in the right direction. If you pull it off, you're going to have to do it 2 more times, and if you fail, everybody dies. That's why it's all or nothing. Honestly, this is a really pointless level in modern ports because you can just force the Lemmings to bash in the proper angles, but yeah. You can also just wait like a certain fraction of a second. There's a certain timing to this level that if you click after the Lemmings have landed after a certain amount of time, you'll always bash in the right direction. So even without the ability to bash in the fixed direction, this is honestly not a very hard level. It requires a fair bit of luck, but honestly, yeah, this is one of the first Mayhem levels I've been able to complete as a kid. Ah, thank you, Lemmings. Glad that you're wishing me to have a nice day. So yeah, it's level 13 of tricky Lemming drops. And honestly, the first time that we played this level, it already was pretty hard enough. So yeah, what could this level do in order to make itself distinguish a little bit more from its predecessor? And the answer is absolutely nothing, honestly. You know the solution that I showed you in level 13? Yeah, you do the same exact thing. The only difference is that you must not use a blocker in order to seal the Lemmings onto the steel block where you start from, because there's no way to nuke it, because you have no bombers. But other than that, yeah, the same solution still works. I've seen some people do this level in a really weird way where they just build in all sorts of angles, and honestly, I never got it because this way of doing things is way easier and much more straightforward, so yeah, why complicate things whenever you can do something in a much easier manner? So yeah, it's all about doing a spiral staircase all the way up here. Afterward, you mine, bash, or whatever your way through the ramp that you first built. It might be a little tricky at first because you might just hit the steel wall instead of just hitting whatever part of the ramp that you wanted to destroy, but once you've got this out of the way, yeah. All in all, for this late in Mayhem, it's surprisingly easy. I mean, honestly, when I got to this level the first time, I was really disappointed because, yeah, the same exact solution that I used for Tricky just worked again, so yeah, what the hell. I mean, you have less time to do it, but come on, I still have 2 minutes in order to do it, so it's not as if the time made this hard or anything. But yeah, enough about me telling that the game is easy, because now we're getting in the bowels of hell. We only have 5 levels left in the game, but every single one of them is a doozy. So, I hope you enjoyed this update, and I hope to see you again for the last 5 levels of the game. So, see you everybody!